Okay, so we're going to be moving to the next topic right now, the next part of the nutrition course, which is BMR versus TDEE. These are just acronyms for some fancy words. The BMR stands for your basal metabolic rate, and TDEE stands for your total daily energy expenditure. So your basal metabolic rate, or BMR, is the amount of food, the amount of calories required that you need just to lie down in bed and do absolutely nothing. So if you were bedridden, you were sick, you didn't want to do anything, you're taking a mental health day, you just laid down, grabbed the remote, watched Netflix, did absolutely nothing, couch potato. That is your basal metabolic rate. So your BMR is just the amount of food or energy that you need just to kind of lay around, watch Netflix, and do nothing all day. Now, not a lot of us do that. We actually live very busy, productive, effective lives, which means we do a lot of things. We don't just sit around and watch Netflix. We have jobs, we have bills to pay. So because of that, we are actually doing a little bit more, which means we need a little bit more fuel. So if your BMR is just the amount of fuel that you need to sit down there and do absolutely nothing, if you are not a couch potato and you are contributing to society, you are doing more, eating your BMR is not enough. You need to eat a little bit more. This is what TDEE is. This is your total daily energy expenditure. It is how much food, how much energy, how much nutrition you require to be productive, to kill the day, to be successful, to do stuff, to earn income, to play with your children, to work out. That is your TDEE. Using your BMR only to determine how much food you need is very inaccurate. And the thing is, I see this happen quite a bit. The thing is, when you're using your BMR to determine how much food you're eating, you're assuming all you're going to do is live like a couch potato or vegetable for the rest of your life. If that is the case, fine, that works for you. Those numbers are accurate. Most of us do not fall into that couch potato vegetable state. So because of that, we're actually going to be eating a little bit more. So I just want you to understand, BMR is not the way to go. What you actually want to do is figure out what your total daily energy expenditure is. So how much food does your body need to get you up out of bed, to get ready, to shower, drive to work, work, whatever. If your work is physically demanding, you're going to need more food. If your work is not physically demanding, you're not going to eat as much food. But you got to figure out that as well too. Okay, how demanding is my work? How much food do I need? When you're done work, what are you going to do? Are you going to go pick up the kids? Are you going to go to the gym right after? Are you going to go for a run? What are your activities after? You need to know this as well too, so that you can also determine how much food you're going to eat. Because guess what? When it comes to the TDEE, total daily energy expenditure, that is when people fall under different categories. You may have seen that if you're trying to figure out your macros on a Google calculator or some of those, macro calculators, they'll ask about your lifestyle, and they'll ask if you're sedentary, lightly active, moderately active, or extremely active. Why they're asking this question is because they want to figure out your total daily energy expenditure. They want to give you a number that corresponds to your TDEE and not your BMR. So make sure, if you're one of those people, or you've done this in the past, where you've tried to figure out how much you should be eating, and you go on a macro calculator, or you jump on Google and you do some research, how much should you be eating, make sure they are also asking questions, or they're taking your lifestyle into consideration. So in the summer, for an example, I tend to be more active. So in that case, when I'm trying to figure out my macros, I'll probably subscribe to more of a moderately active, because I'm more active in the summer than I am in the winter. In the winter, I'm not as active. I still work out about 3 to 4 times a week, but I don't go for walks as often as I do. I don't spend as much time as I do outdoors in the winter than I do in the summer. So because of that, I may actually use lightly active when I'm trying to figure out my total daily energy expenditure. You want to make sure, when you're trying to figure out your calories, your macros, how much you're eating, you want to consider your lifestyle, how active you are, and facilitate and accommodate that as well too. The last thing that I'm just going to say on this topic is this. Most people will typically underestimate how little they eat, which means they'll overeat, or they will overestimate how much they eat and undereat. So what does that mean? You're either underestimating, so you think you're eating this little, but you're actually eating more, so you're overeating. Or you think you're eating this much, but you're actually eating this little and you undereat. That tends to be most people's problems. They're usually overeating because they are underestimating, or they're undereating because they're overestimating. So when it comes to You, which one are you? Are you the type of person to overestimate and undereat, or are you the type of person to underestimate and overeat? Be honest with yourself, because if you're honest with yourself, you know exactly what your problem is, and you also have the solution right there within the problem. So instead of focusing on, oh my God, I have too much weight, I have to lose, think of the problem or the solution, which is, are you under eating or are you overeating? That is a solution. If you're overeating, stop eating too much. If you're under eating, eat more. And I know I'm being very blunt right now, but that is the truth. And maybe that's what you need to hear. Because guess what? Some people are sugarcoating things and they're telling you stuff like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. It is very simple. You are either assuming you are under eating, so you are overeating, or you think you are overeating, but you're under eating. Figure out what you're struggling with. Are you under eating? Are you overeating? And you know the solution to that. If you're overeating, eat less. If you're under eating, eat more. Let's stop spinning around in a cycle and struggling and continue to feel like crap about our bodies. Food is fuel. Learn how to fuel your body. Make sure you're eating enough. BMR is not enough. TDEE, enough. So make sure you're eating enough so that your body can actually do what you want it to do. And what you probably wanted to do is have enough energy to crush the day, look good, feel good, and maintain your weight. So once you understand what your TDEE versus your BMR is, you now have a better way of calculating exactly what your daily caloric requirements are. And if you know what your daily caloric requirements are, that means you're going to know exactly how many calories you should be eating in a day. But before I even talk about calories, what I'm going to do is go over reading food labels, because now you understand a little bit about nutrition. You know that food is fuel. You know that you're just supposed to eat to fuel your body. You understand that BMR is a little bit less than you should be eating, especially if you're active. You know that TDEE is what you should be eating, and you know that your TDEE will depend on your activity levels or your lifestyle. Now that you know that, you can actually figure out how many calories or how much calories you need to eat to achieve your certain result. The result could be to maintain your weight, it could be to lose fat, it could be to build muscle. But regardless of the goal, once you know, or once you understand your TDEE and you know how to calculate how many calories you're going to eat, then we can actually go into macros, or kind of breaking that down a little bit. But before we go into macros, I'm going to help you understand how to read nutritional labels, because guess what? If you have the macros, you know what you're supposed to eat, but you cannot read a simple food label, you're still going to struggle. You need to understand how you can read a food label so that you can understand the macros and the calories that are coming from where. Because if you were to just have a chocolate bar and it says 260 calories, where are those 260 calories coming from? Are they coming from the carbs? Are they coming from the fats? Are they coming from the protein? You need to know how to read a food label and how to understand what that food label is telling you, so that you can make smarter food choices and you are not frustrated with eating. If you know how to read food labels, then guess what? You are one step closer to feeling good about your body. You are one step closer to fueling your body for what you want it to do for you. So let's jump into this, reading food labels, so that we can understand how to fuel your body, feel great, and look great.